Jenny McCarthy Show. Oh!
Welcome back to the Jenny McCarthy Show. I'm so excited he's back in studio and I get to be sitting across from him. I think the last time we were actually face-to-face was on this little dumb show called The View, where you were so great, by the way, as a guest host.
I loved hosting that show.
You were so great. We were like trying to work it out. I'm like, I remember the first time you did it, I ran to the producers and was like, we need him on the show.
And we talked, you know what's funny? There was an old executive producer back when Barbara was still there, and that's when you were there.
Bill.
And we had actually talked about possibly doing that and being a guy on The View. And Barbara, one of the best compliments I've ever received was from Barbara Walters when she came backstage and she said, "Where are you from?" And I understood what she was talking about. I said, I came from local news. And she's like, I knew it. She's like, I knew you cut your teeth in local news. And I was a sportscaster and had covered all kinds of stuff in Oklahoma City. And she's like, I could tell by your style that that's where the good ones come from.
Oh, that's nice. That is a compliment.
It was a great compliment.
I got, why didn't you flush the toilet? That's what I got from Barbara.
And I said, look, I know things got sideways with Barbara over there. But my only thing is the woman crossed the Bay of Pigs with Castro.
Right?
So I don't care what anybody else says.
Oh, I love Barbara.
Are you kidding? I do too. She's one of my idols. I mean, she's amazing.
I was like so grateful that her last year I got to be there with her, and we absolutely had a bond. We started dressing alike. I was her mini-me.
One of the wildest days was, and they kind of sprung it on me, is it was kind of the retrospective, and it was her interview during the OJ stuff. So I had to interview Barbara Walters.
What?
Nervous as
I bet.
all hell. And
she'd call you out on your shit if you were.
And she tore a producer up about one thing, and she ripped. It was this female producer, and this producer came out. And she looked at the card, and she's like, "This is inaccurate," and she ripped this girl. And the girl was kind of beaten, and I could tell the girl was kind of thinking, "Barbara, you bitch! Like you're just a And I grabbed the girl after, and I said, "Let me tell you something. She just did you a favor."
Yeah.
I said, yeah, maybe she's harder on you because you're a woman, because she knows you have to be better.
Wow.
And you take that as a great sign that she undressed you right there.
100%.
Yeah, and so I don't know if that girl did, but I love the way she treated her.
I loved her too. I loved it. Every time she
She's
used to
old
scream
school.
at me, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, Barbara, bring it."
Barbara just yelled at me.
Exactly. Would you have said yes back then?
The thing is I would love to do a show like The View or like Kelly and Ryan, whatever it is, Jenny and Chris.
Right.
It's just the New York thing is tough for me right now.
I know.
Because I have 3-4 years left of kids in my house. That window is closing. My son's a junior. My daughter just started as a freshman. I'm visiting colleges.
Wow.
I just went on my second college visit. And first thing I figure, I want to go back to college.
You do?
Yeah, hell yes. Oh my God, I'm walking my son around. I am so envious. I told my son, I said, I don't care what you will do in this life, what money you make, what you achieve.
So funny. Just go all 4 years.
There's not a human that wouldn't say, I'll give it all up to go back to college.
No shit. It was the best time of my life.
It is the greatest.
You're going to be the dad there, buying
100%
bottle service
I'm going to be the
for the
weird
boys.
old guy. Hey guys, what's up?
But your perception of women now, by the way, I'm still going to promote your show. Don't worry. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Nah, we'll get to that
but
crap.
Your perception of women, I watch you every year, of course, with The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, has to be so skewed as to, or really knowledgeable as to how women think, act, feel. Do you feel like you have one up now because of this?
Or maybe it's, or maybe, as you said, it's more confusing, and I realize no one will ever figure anybody out. But I mean, I have learned a tremendous amount over 17 years of watching people on The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and also going through my marriage, my divorce, dating now, which is an absolute shit show.
It is a shit show.
Oh, jeez, criminy.
The fucking worst. Then, like, when do you introduce them to the kids?
Yeah.
And
Well, and I travel so much, so my thing is like, okay, I'm home for like a couple days, go on a date. All right, so what are you doing after Thanksgiving?
Oh, shit.
Because I'll be back in December. And I'm like, really?
You're right. That must be tough.
Yeah. So unless I want to bring someone along, you want to go to Thailand on date 2? So it's a bit of a mess. Yes.
What do you do, like, during Bachelor in Paradise? Because you come out and you'll say, okay, time for the rose ceremony.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, is he fucking partying his balls off? Like, what is Chris doing?
It's a lot because we're down there. So where we stay is about 45 minutes away from where we shoot.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God is right. Because there's no air conditioning where those people stay. I don't know why these people sign up for it.
I don't know.
They are just a sweaty
they all
mess.
must smell like barnacle. Like, gross.
And so, I have to be there a lot. It's a very compact shooting schedule because the budget is very tight, and so we crank it out. So I'm there every day,
right?
Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. So a lot of times I'll stay on set, and then there's a cool little town, Sayulita. Go in and grab some tacos and hang out for a little bit, and then come back. But I really can't ever go back. So my kids come into town. They'll come in for a week or two. I bring friends down. I try and make it because I'm down there for a month.
Right.
So I got to make it my life because that is my life.
I'm going to get back to Bachelor in Paradise in a little bit, but let's promote Who Wants to Be a Billionaire weekdays actually in syndication. You must be so rich.
That's the best line ever. I've done well. Yes,
you've got to be
life
doing
is good.
Really good.
Life is much better than I ever anticipated being when I was a young kid growing up in Texas.
I know Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yes.
That's for sure.
This was a cool thing that happened 4 years ago when ABC came to me. They were making some changes, and the show was not doing well. And they said, "We want to give this one last big shot. Will you come in and do it?" And I said, "There is no way I can do this. There's no way. I have no time."
Time-wise, yeah.
And they said, "Oh, yeah, we can. We're going to shoehorn it in for what was your vacation."
Oh,
so now in
my
July and
God.
August, between Bachelor, I shoot Millionaire. So I just wrapped Millionaire.
Are you actually Donnie Wahlberg dressed as Chris Harrison?
I can't say no. I can't say no to I don't turn down jobs. I have this belief, and this is the way I grew up, is that it will all be gone tomorrow.
100%.
And I know, oddly enough, came to mind, Joan Rivers was like that. Jay Leno's like that. Just old school where you just work because it could all go away.
Work begets work.
Seacrest and I were talking about that yesterday. Same thing. He's like, yeah, I don't turn stuff down.
No.
We just work.
Does it terrify you with watching like Chris Hardwick, even Ryan Seacrest, in this whole fucking Me Too generation, and now you're dating? Are you like,
I stopped dating. I stopped texting. I stopped dating. I don't talk to people. I have cameras on me 24/7. I have a validation. And are you okay with this conversation, Jenny?
I don't blame you.
I'm like, I need consent.
I would do the same
It's
exact
scary.
thing.
It is a scary time out there. And especially when, and I don't know any of the other situations, but I do know Ryan's because I know a lot of the women that work for him. And it was a scary thing because he was completely exonerated and completely innocent and found innocent by everybody.
Right.
Yet there was this scathing article released by Variety that tore him apart right before the Oscars.
I know.
And I'm watching this thinking, are they going to can him? Are they, and then there are celebs that are just railing against him without knowing anything.
Right.
And so there are times when there is a tsunami just that tears these people's lives apart. I'm like, well, I don't even know if they did anything. No,
exactly. Well, that's the society right now. We're all quick to judge. There's no due process.
And obviously there are victims and there are horrible human beings out there. There have been and there will be. But there are some that aren't. And so I'm like, well, what about those guys?
100%. That's where I have to look at any guy like you.
It's scary as hell.
In Hollywood going, screw that. I'm terrified.
I would like to think that I have lived my life in a very sincere, honorable manner, and so I have nothing to worry about. But even with that, maybe you never know. You never know what someone could say anything.
100%.
And it's a scary, scary concept right now.
I think the same thing. I'm like, thank God I'm not a guy. But then again, girls are,
right. But then the flip side of that, and that's the thing, is you can't get on this pity party about that. You want it to be fair and you want it to be just for anybody. But at the same time, I know there are victims out there, and I know it's been shitty for a lot of people for a long time. And so you want it right for them. But you want it right the right way.
Totally.
And it's like sometimes we got to take a step back, take a breath. It doesn't mean we're not going to get justice, but let's take just a second.
Before we judge, do some investigation.
Right, exactly.
Speaking of investigating, let's talk about Amanda, who last night literally just had a mugshot.
Saw that.
I was totally surprised. I described it to our listeners as people that might not watch The Bachelor. She's like a gerbil trying to like push over a giraffe. Like she's so teeny.
She's about 75 pounds.
Okay,
she
said
really
85,
is. She
so.
is. Yeah. No, I mean she's definitely under 100. She's a tiny girl.
Are you believing the story?
Well, I really don't even know what the story is, other than I heard it like 3:30 in the morning in Las Vegas. She got arrested for assault and battery.
For domestic
assault, for beating up her boyfriend.
She basically shoved her boyfriend and shoved him twice. Where I said, if that's domestic violence, I'm in trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she's such a little teeny weeny thing.
Right.
So
I mean, did he do? Was it like like a fall? Like was he like in the World Cup? When they like go down and they like hold their ankle like Cristiano Ronaldo, like my ankle.
I like this.
And the guy runs on with the magic sponge.
Exactly.
And he's fine. I don't know. And then, but I guess she took a picture of the two of them on a private jet, like the next like a couple hours later. So I don't know.
They said the hotel security witnessed it and then decided to take it. So sometimes I think the security people want their 5 minutes of fame.
And they probably, I don't know if they knew who she was, but I haven't talked to her, and I haven't heard anything other than I saw her mugshot. And someone said, "Did you see her mugshot?" And I said, "Worst sentence you could ever hear." Like, "Hey, did you see Chris Harrison's mugshot?" Things I never once said.
You're totally right.
Right?
Yes.
Because
that would be so embarrassing.
And one of the worst parts is no one looks good. And like,
no.
And this is a weird thing for me to think, but I'm like, I want to see it because she's adorable. She's a beautiful girl. I'm like, God, she didn't even look great in her mugshot.
No. I love that that's what you noticed.
Like, hey, can you put on like that really soft selfie light? And can we just give me a second to clean up?
Totally an Instagram filter.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking to Chris Harrison. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Wouldn't it be great if you could choose your filter for your mugshot?
It would be awesome. In fact, I don't ever want to be arrested. I can't believe I've never been arrested.
That is hard to believe. And someone asked me the other day, I'm like, no, I've never been arrested.
No.
And that shouldn't be a crazy thing to say.
It shouldn't be.
You should go through your life and be able to not be arrested.
Although I gotta say, it kind of turned me on when I found out my husband has a mugshot.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. But that's his whole story.
So
I
do
can't
I.
get into that.
So do I then.
Hear that, ladies? Speaking of the ladies, what do girls do if they're listening right now and want to send in a bachelor?
I thought it was if they want to date me. No,
we'll do that too.
You go to the website.
But what are the characteristics they need to do?
It's look, here's the thing. It is a crapshoot, and someone asked me the other day, like, how do you become the bachelor? I'm like, man, that is talk about 0.001% that get to be the bachelor or the bachelorette. There's so many things that have to fall into place, and timing and everything. So don't worry about it. That's my main bit of advice is send in your audition tape or go to one of our casting calls, even better, so the producers actually meet you. That's the best way. But I get it if you can't travel or if we don't come to your town, go online and do it. And then just, I hate to say it, don't worry about it, because we get so many submissions from people all over the world. And it's not that we don't like you. It's maybe we already have a sweet blonde girl from New York.
Totally.
And we're really looking for a girl from Kentucky or the Midwest or maybe the West Coast or wherever, because we want this cross section.
You do.
And
you want to cast a variety.
And I can give you one bit of advice. It's about story. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for crazy. I know people think we are. If we were, then Jenny would have been our bachelorette years ago. But no, we're looking for story. Whatever you're in it, and it doesn't have to be crazy, but whatever your story is, tell that. That's what's compelling to us.
So speaking of that, when I watch the show, like Bachelor, Bachelorette, and then I watch the Bachelor in Paradise, which is, of course, I think everyone's kind of somewhat favorite. Yeah. It's amazing that you can watch the original series, and by the time they get to Bachelor in Paradise, is it editing or is it the actual island that turns the villains into somewhat heroes? Because it happens a lot.
It is. Well, and you look at this season, and one of the craziest love stories I've ever seen is Chris and Crystal, both extreme villains on their season. They come back to Paradise for a couple of reasons. Redemption is one of them. I'm going to come back and kind of change my stripes. Rarely can anybody do that, because one thing I've learned about people over the history of this show, you can't save people from themselves. You can't.
True.
And rarely do they change.
True.
Note to women dating, men dating, your husband is not going to change. Your wife is not going to change.
No.
That's just what you bought.
That's right.
Yeah. Buyer beware. So it's rare that someone can come back and really be and have redemption. And Chris was on his way to just burying himself again when Crystal stepped in and pulled him aside and said, "You're being an absolute tool.
Exactly.
Pull your head out of your ass."
She held the light.
Yeah. She held up a light and a mirror to his face, and he's like, "You're right. I am being a jackass." And they fell in love, and it's this crazy love story.
It is, and it might.
And the moms are BFFs.
I know.
It's cool.
I almost thought they were going to make out. And surprisingly, I was really rooting for like Jordan and Jenna, and then they got the reality Steve tax that we talked about earlier today.
I don't know the validity of that. Sorry, not enough
That's
scotch
me every
this morning.
single fucking day.
So
it's okay.
I don't know the validity of that. I have not heard from anybody yet. I haven't talked to her and I haven't talked to him. Although, ironically, I did an interview with Jordan yesterday. He was on. I was doing Seacrest stuff, and we had Jordan on, and he was happy as can be.
Okay.
So he obviously didn't know either. So it's all very new. Yeah, and so I don't know if they were so extreme
and right
and like almost too obvious, like someone had planted them. It was like, I did the murder in the library with the candlestick. I'm like, really? You spelled it out that much? So I don't know.
It didn't seem like a real text to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You never know people.
It didn't smell right.
Okay, good. So we have Chris Harrison.
But who knows? But I don't know.
Right.
I officially don't know is my official status.
But I like your instincts.
Well, that is. It's just and usually that's the thing is like, does it pass the smell test?
Right.
And I'm like,
and it didn't for me.
It didn't for me.
And I have a pretty
first.
good bullshit meter too.
Yeah.
I got to ask about the alcohol levels on Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, I thought you meant in my cup.
No, but if you want some, I'm sure we have some. It did change, right? Because of what happened with previous season that you guys have maybe cut back to having a few drink minimum?
That was definitely, I think everybody's safety on the show has always been paramount and always been important to us. But I think the Corinne and DeMario situation of last summer or a year ago was definitely a wake-up call of just we could be a little bit more cognizant. Let's pay a little bit more attention and just make sure that everybody is on the same page. And as far as drinking, consent, all of it, just make sure that everybody feels safe and secure, even to the point of it's a little awkward as you're walking into the room together of like, we all good? We all good?
Right.
But that's what you have to do. And not just in this day and age, it's fine. It's really what should be done. And just to make sure everybody is secure and feels good about themselves and cannot go back later and have, the revisionist history and go, That's not how I felt. Even though we all knew it was.
I know.
You can't do that now. And so you have to cover yourself.
I felt like an intern like that was, probably given the job by some big shot in LA, saw like something happening that she never saw before in her life and was like, blew the whistle too early. Because I'm like, this is Bachelor in Paradise.
I wish it was even that deep.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I could go into it and tell you, but it wasn't even that deep. But it was. But you know what? It was still a good wake up call for everybody.
I get it.
And for the network, for the show, and all of us to, I've met with and seen more lawyers in the last year than I have met in the first 16 years of doing this show. But that's the sign of the times.
And Dancing with the Stars is going to have Joe, Grocery Store Joe.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like when you set up somebody for Dancing with the Stars, you're setting them for failure with the relationship?
Possibly.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you for being honest about that.
No, I don't know. Sean, we've had plenty of guys do it that where they stay together. I know it is difficult because, yes, you are dancing with some absolutely gorgeous woman half naked for like 10 weeks.
And I'm friends with those people.
Yeah,
and I know
great.
that they try to totally score with the celebrities.
Is that right?
Yes.
Maybe I should go on Dancing with the Stars.
What? I can't believe you haven't even thought of that yet.
Because do you think Tom Bergeron would dance with me?
100%.
I think we'd make a cute couple.
I think you get laid like crazy on Dancing with the Stars. So you don't think it's going to break them up?
I think it's a good thing because one of the issues, honestly, was Joe's in Chicago, Kendall is in L.A. So what could we do to bring them together? We thought, let's put them on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, setting them up to break up, and then I saw her do that fake, like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you, and then the jealousy.
Yeah, then watch Julianne Hough walk in. Oh God.
Chris Harrison, of course, I could talk to you forever. You're so great. I'm so happy for you, and you deserve all of this success, and I hope you stay busy as long as you want to. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Weekdays in syndication. Also, what is that name of the book that you wrote?
The Perfect Letter.
The Perfect Letter was such a great book.
It is a good read. It is a great read. If you don't want to think too hard, pick it up. It's a great little murder mystery, sexy novel. It's good. And
we've got a good book reading audience. So thanks again. Come back anytime, right? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Let's take a picture.
Jenny McCarthy Show. Oh!